Lesson 0.4 is on calculating team standings and player averages. This is going to be a quick lesson because it's going to be using some of the skills that we learned in the last couple of lessons and just applying them to some ranking situations. When teams or players in a division or league are listed in order of winning successes, it is usually done by calculating the mean of their games won and showing it as a decimal rounded to three places. If you think about the game results as having either a value of a 1 or a 0, corresponding to either a win or a loss, then you can calculate the mean number of wins just by taking the total wins and dividing it by the number of games played. Now, keep in mind that the number of games played is the wins and the losses together. Now, even though this result will give you a decimal answer, it's often called a winning percentage. So when you see in homework, tests, and quizzes, and they're asking you for a winning percentage, we are looking for a decimal that is rounded to three places. So in example number one, we're going to be ranking some members of the Detroit Tigers baseball team from 2016 in order from best to worst batting average. And so we've got three players listed here. Now, for each of these players, we are given the number of hits and the number of outs they have. And we learned in the last lesson that to calculate a batting average, we need the number of hits divided by the total number of at-bats. So what we're going to have to do for each of these players is start by calculating their at-bats. And we can do that by adding hits and outs together. So for Ian Kinsler, he had 618 total at-bats. And really, calculating batting averages is pretty simple. You just have to read carefully because in some situations they will give you the number of at-bats. Sometimes they won't, and you just have to look for that little detail. Now, for Ian Kinsler's batting average, we will take his hits divided by his at-bats, and that gives us a batting average of 0.288. Again, remember with batting averages, always three places, and please follow the rules of rounding. Now, with Victor Martinez, he had a total of 553 at bats, 160 plus 393. His batting average, therefore, would be 160 out of the 553 at bats, which rounded to three places is 0.289. Notice how close those are, by the way, and that's one of the reasons why with batting averages we want to go out to three places because often they can be very similar if you only go out to two. Now, for our last player, he had 117 hits and 294 outs for a total of 411 at bats. And so his batting average works out to be 0.285. So notice that even though Ian Kinsler had the most number of hits, his batting average did not work out to be the highest out of these three. All right, one more example is ranking teams in a conference or a division. And in this case, we are looking at the results from the men's water polo season from back from 2016. And the tricky thing with water polo is that all the teams in the conference play a different number of games. So we can't rank them simply on the number of games that they won. We have to, again, calculate their winning percentage. Now, a lot of times team records are given as wins and losses. For example, in 2016, West Ottawa won 9 and they lost 14. But again, remember, we want to do wins divided by the total number of attempts or the total number of games played. So in this case, 9 plus 14 would give us a total of 23 games played. So what we have to do for each team is go through and calculate their total number of games played. And then to calculate their winning percentage, it's the wins divided by the total. So in West Ottawa's case, for instance, they would have 9 out of 23. The team that finished in first place then was Rockford with a record of 39-5. In second place, Hudsonville with their record was 24-9 with a win percentage of 0.727. Third place was Grand Haven with a winning percentage of 0.606. West Ottawa finished in fourth place with a winning percentage of 0.391. East Kentwood next with a winning percentage of 0.385. And Granville finished in last with a winning percentage of 0.269.